Hey guys, Manic Mercurian here, and in this video we're doing another birth chart reading, as you can see. And this reading is for December 21st, 1999 at 3:36 p.m. in Dallas, Texas. And this person has Sun in Sagittarius. They're born on the very last day of Sagittarius. The Sun actually would have entered Capricorn later within this same day, I believe. But Sun in Sagittarius, Moon in Gemini, Gemini rising. Okay. This is an interesting chart right away. It looks like someone I know this chart. But where to begin? So okay, so you may or may not have seen my Sagittarius Sun Gemini Moon video, but if you haven't, I will link it in the description. I'm gonna write that down so I don't forget. Sagittarius Sun Gemini Moon link. So yeah, so I'm gonna focus more on the whole chart and not just the sun and the moon. But you were born right during a full moon, just just probably hours before the full moon. And so the Gemini full moon is a bit theatrical. You would very much be a fun, upbeat person. The sun is in joy in the ninth house and the moon is in joy in the third house, and so that kind of corresponds to the sun being in joy in Sagittarius and moon being in joy in Gemini, I would say. And so it's my personal opinion that Sagittarius sun is the most fun sun sign to have, and Gemini moon is the most fun moon sign to have, and you have both of those. And so you would be very jovial, lively, upbeat. I think you would have a good sense of humor. You'd want to keep things humorous and keep things light and fun. You'd be playful. See what else here. And then you also have Gemini rising, so you're very much a person who is thinking a lot. Gemini moons have so much activity going on inside. You're always thinking and observing and analyzing, and I think you'd be very expressive of this. The Sagittarius sun and Sagittarius Mercury, for that matter, would do a good job of vocalizing these things. So you have a lot of thoughts, and I could see you as talking a lot. Gemini and Sagittarius are interesting because they can be very outgoing, and you probably have a habit of like saying everything that's on your mind and maybe being too transparent or too open. But at the same time, you might have introverted phases, though. Gemini and Sagittarius have an introverted side as well. They can be kind of internal. And especially with with Gemini Moon, you have so much going on inside of you, so much, so many thoughts and so much happening that it might be hard for you to always express it. And there might be times where you just shut off and want to be alone and internal. But generally speaking, though, I see you as being an outgoing person, maybe an extrovert, because you do have Sun and Sagittarius, Moon and Gemini, and Sun is in the seventh house, Moon is in the first house. So I do see you as being very expressive. Having Sun and Fire and Moon and Air is nice because they balance each other. They are opposing elements, and in this example, they are literally opposite one another. And so there is that balance there of the air is cool and the fire is warm, and so it makes you very easygoing, and you're double mutable as well, triple mutable, and so you're very, how do I put this? You're very go with the flow. You're very multifaceted and you're very adaptable, and so it's easy for you to just go with the flow of whatever else is happening. You're extremely adaptable, and you have a great deal of contrast within you. There's just so much happening inside of you. You have so many different thoughts and emotions and so many different conflicting opinions and energies. There's so much contrast within you that can make you feel crazy at times. I think this is especially difficult because I would say you have a stellium in 7th house Sagittarius. You have Chiron, Pluto, Mercury, Lilith, and Sun all in 7th house Sagittarius, which is very interesting. So with all these planets kind of opposite your ascendant in your 7th house, that has multiple implications. For one, your parents would not be accepting of this. So the more Sagittarian part of your personality that wants to be, outgoing and fiery and spontaneous and comedic, your parents might not really understand or accept. They might just not really get that part of you. They would more be accepting of the Gemini part of you, and there's definitely that part of you as well. So the part of you that's more intellectual, and your parents might have stressed like learning, going to school, being intelligent, getting good grades, that type of thing. That's what would be expected of you. People in your life might, or especially parents and maybe teachers, might be more frown on the more comedic or lively, energetic, spontaneous uh, side, adventurous side of your personality. But and it might be something that's difficult for you to access as well. You very much empathize with other people. Your chart is interesting because you were so expressive and um so caught up in your own thoughts and feelings. But at the same time, you have so much focus on the seventh house, and so you're very much focused on other people and very empathetic. Um, I think you very much want to be in a relationship. Gemini likes to interact with other people because it provides stimulus, provides stimuli. It's information. It's interesting to analyze other people, observe people, interact with people. But all these placements in seventh house Sagittarius would really be drawn to relationships because you almost feel incomplete without someone else there. Not only are you have so much in Sagittarius and Gemini, so not only are you so interactive and you want to be playful and have fun, you want to, you don't want to be alone. You want to be going and out and doing something or interacting with people, but also, this focus on the seventh house means that you almost struggle with even having an identity when you're alone. Like you need someone else there to relate to or even to contrast from. You need some kind of, that's what a relationship technically is on the most technical level, is someone to relate to. There needs to be a relation or a contrast, a comparing between you and something or someone else. And so you almost need that for a relationship. But with all of your mutable energies, I don't see you, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see you as, falling in love with your high school sweetheart or something like that. Because you have a lot of changing to do. You're going to be a late bloomer. You start out life so open and naive and so open to the world. You want to learn and grow and expand. That's so much of why you came to be here. You want to see everything that the world has to offer. And so I do think relationships are important to you, but I think you'll learn a lot from different relationships and different experiences. Having your life be very different ways, having yourself be very different ways. Again, there's so much contrast within you. And so you're going to learn and change a lot throughout your lifetime. And so you probably won't stabilize until, a bit later in life. And so although relationships are important, I don't see you really truly settling down with someone for a long-term situation until, perhaps later in life, once you've kind of developed and matured and seen what the world has to offer, learned more about yourself, because you're a complex person. This chart is so different than the chart I just read before this one, because the chart I read before was like Scorpio, Taurus, Capricorn is like very much knows who they are from the beginning. I don't think you do, and that's totally fine too. Neither is better or worse than the other. You are confident. You have a lot of Sagittarian placements. You get out there. You just start things. That's how you learn. Is you want to be interactive and just get out there and start things. So you are confident in that regard for sure. You're fiery. You're upbeat. You're confident. You have high expectations. You're a little bit idealistic, but at the same time, okay, even though you are confident in those ways, it's not really grounded or stable until later in life, because it's not meant to be. Your confidence comes from experience. You want to, again, you're so open, especially at a young age. So you're open to a lot of misadventures, mishaps, but that's fine. That's part of the journey, and that's what you learn the most from. That's what you learn from, and from all these experiences, that's what gains. That's where you gain wisdom, and that's how you gain clarity and confidence. And so, really, your life is like this big journey. It's going to be very interesting, and you're going to learn a lot. You're someone who is very physically oriented, but also very mentally oriented as well. So you want to learn hands-on by having real life experiences. But you can also be someone to watch documentaries or read books. You have a vivid imagination, and so you can learn either way. You probably require both. You very much want to learn. I really want to stress that. That's what the Gemini Sagittarius axis is all about, and that's where most of the action is in your chart. So you very much came here to learn, but yeah, you do so not only very much hands-on, but also you have a very vivid imagination as well. Okay, and then I'm feeling like I'm neglecting some of these other aspects of your chart. So You do have Venus in Scorpio, Mars in Aquarius, and you have a lot of action in Aquarius as well because you have South Node at 4 degrees Aquarius, and it's actually conjunct Neptune at 2 degrees Aquarius. So we're going to talk more about that in just a moment. And then you also have Uranus conjunct midheaven in Aquarius. That's really interesting. And then Mars at 19 degrees Aquarius. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. Unpack here. um, midheaven Taurus. Okay, or midheaven Aquarius. So South Node. So okay. So with South Node and Aquarius, you may have been seen when you were a child. You may have been seen as the prodigy or the gifted child. You were very intelligent from a young age. You may have been kind of mature from a young age. So on the one hand, you were very naive and open to having tons of different experiences, but you're also, um, you were intelligent for a child. Like you were always maybe a couple years ahead of the curve, so to speak. Um, and you're very observant. You've always been highly observant of other, especially of other people. You're always observing and learning and analyzing. You can be very detached. And let me see here. Part of your soul growth is taking the center stage and becoming more of a leader. So you're going from this theme of just observing and gathering information and learning to later in life applying that knowledge and becoming a leader, basically. Maybe being a teacher of some sort. I could definitely see that for you. Some kind of teacher, or some kind of leader where people can turn to you for your wisdom and your knowledge. Especially in later in life, you'd be a really great teacher or leader. But with North Node in Leo, that really kind of exemplifies that you're meant to be a leader. You're meant to be someone who, sorry, you're meant to be someone who, yeah, who takes that stage, who initiates, and I think I've said enough about that. And you also have IC in Leo. Okay, interesting. So your childhood may, as a child, you may have felt like you were on display all the time. Like, I don't know, like you didn't really have any place to, you didn't really have any like privacy as a child, especially with your emotions. I don't know, something about feeling like publicized or on display all the time. And so as a result, you learned how to deal with attention and you became good at that. That can be very challenging, but yeah, the positive side is you learn to embrace that attention and to handle attention well. Um, and so yeah, I think that will especially become useful later in life when you become more of a leader. Um, I'm getting so much glare. Okay, what else? Okay, and then I you also have midheaven, Uranus conjunct midheaven at 14 degrees Aquarius. So this to me would suggest that your career might dramatically shift multiple times in your life. So your career throughout your life, and this makes sense too with all your mutable energies. You would probably have multiple very different occupations throughout your life. So you may start one job and be very much into that and committed and very stable with this career for a number of years, and then dramatically, like almost overnight, just change to a completely different career, completely different job that requires a different skill set. And you may do that several times throughout your life. What else? With Uranus conjunct midheaven and Aquarius, your career has something to do with how much of an individual you are. So you're definitely going to want to be kind of independent. You're going to want some level of autonomy with your um, place of work, with your occupation. Whatever you're doing at your job, you're gonna want to do it in your own way. And so I don't know. That could be maybe like a business owner, or you could work for someone else as long as they give you that level of autonomy and freedom to do things with your own style or your own flair. I could almost see you as being a good salesperson just because you're so expressive and so you're intelligent with people, and you can be very sociable, but you're also kind of easygoing at the same time. So you work well with people. You generally have a very upbeat and open attitude with other people. Like you, I could see you maybe making fun of people and being kind of jocular, kind of teasing people. I could see you doing that. but other than that, I don't really see you as like truly having anything bad to say about anyone else. You pretty much get along with almost anyone. And so that kind of relatability and that friendliness and that charisma that you have, I think it could make you, I mean, you could apply that to really any work, almost any workplace. You could be a salesperson or work in hospitality. But again, especially later in life, I think you're meant to be a teacher and a leader, and you're meant to do whatever you do in your own way. Let's talk about your relationships. So you have descendant in Sagittarius, Venus in Scorpio, Mars in Aquarius. They're all in different elements, and you have no Earth planets except for Saturn. Wow. Okay. So you may be drawn to Earth since you lack Earth generally. You're not a very earthy person. So you can become ungrounded at times, or it can be very easy for you to become ungrounded because you don't have that Earth in your chart. And it can be hard for you to be responsible sometimes. You kind of just want to have fun and learn, and it may be extra tedious for you to deal with those mundane aspects of life where you have to be responsible. So it can be hard for you to be grounded and take care of those earthly activities. um, and so lacking Earth, you don't really understand it, but you're also drawn to it like a magnet because you lack that in your chart. And so yeah, you may notice you're drawn to earthy people. That would be Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. But it would be difficult though for you to have to get really close to an Earth person because it's something very foreign to you. Um, if someone, it would be good for your friends to have a little bit of Earth in their charts, just enough to kind of bring that energy, not enough to be totally foreign and for you to not understand one another. Like someone whose chart is completely earthy, I think you just wouldn't. It would be too different. It'd be too hard to relate to. But I think someone with a little bit of earth would be perfect because that would bring that kind of balance and that groundedness and that stability to you, which you could kind of use. And then, but then with descendant in Sagittarius, I think the sign you would be most compatible with would be Sagittarius because of course, you have Sun in Sagittarius, you have multiple planets there: Mercury, Pluto, Lilith. So, Lilith in Sagittarius, your sexuality is very much having to do with Sagittarius. So, you do want to be kind of rowdy and be kind of rowdy or free with a partner, have adventures with a partner, and you may be attracted to someone from a different socioeconomic class or a different culture, a different part of the world, or someone from a different world would be very attractive to you because that would kind of, you know, that's kind of all about what your soul is here to do, is to learn and to, to expand and to grow. And someone from a different background, it would just make them kind of extra attractive to you because it would just be so new and it would help your soul growth. It would help that expansion. And you do have descendant in Sagittarius. And so Sagittarius very much rules what you expect from other people and what you need from other people, especially in romantic relationships. So, when it comes to relationships, I would say Sagittarius would be the best sign for you, generally speaking. However, you do have Venus in Scorpio and then Mars in Aquarius. And it would be difficult for you to have stable relationships, especially early in life, not only because of all your mutable energy, you're a bit of a late bloomer, as I talked about before, but also your Venus and Mars are clashing. They are squaring, actually, with Venus at 18 degrees Scorpio and Mars at 19 degrees Aquarius. And both Venus and Mars kind of have to do with what our romantic and sexual sector of our lives. And with those clashing, your needs in a relationship are a little bit complex. And this will only get easier with time as you stabilize in life and as you kind of mature and stabilize. But with Venus in Scorpio, you feel very deeply. You're very, once you're really attracted to someone, you can be a little bit obsessive. Um, the Gemini part of you wants to like learn about everything about them and study them and observe them. The Sagittarius side and the Scorpio Venus just feels so passionately, and you so want to commit to them. And I think this might be especially confusing at a young age because you would feel so committed to a person, but it wouldn't be stable. It would be fleeting at a young age, and you would only get that real commitment later in life, I think. But But yeah, with Venus and Scorpio, you would feel very, very deeply, very passionately for a person. And that would the difficult part of it would be you would feel so strongly that it could become difficult or impossible to maintain. Um, it can also make you feel out of control, make you feel unsafe because you're feeling so deeply for a person, and so people respond to that different ways. You may want to almost control them um, or try to control yourself because it could just make you feel out of control. But with all your Sagittarius and Gemini energies, you do want a level of freedom in relationships. You don't want to be controlled by anyone else. And so hopefully, you want someone who's also free and independent as well. But the Venus and Scorpio makes you feel so out of control when you have these deep feelings for a person that it can almost be tempting to be a little bit controlling at times. Venus and Scorpio does have that potential. But I think the positive side of it is it can be really enjoyable and pleasant, and feeling so strongly for someone when everything is going right can be so euphoric and powerful. It can even be spiritual. Um, so that is a really cool placement, and then it's also it wants to be very committed and it wants to devote itself to a person, and so that can be very strong in relationships as well. I think you very much want to commit to one person, but you need someone who is complex because you get bored easily and you can handle a high level of dynamism. So you want to commit to someone, but it's only truly going to happen later in life for an extended period of time. And even then, you're going to want someone multifaceted. You want someone with a lot going on in their personality because you want someone interesting, someone of substance, I guess you could say. And you do have Mars in Aquarius, so you generally would avoid confrontation. You would care about what other people think about you, especially like your neighborhood or your family. You want to impress people. You want people to like you, which is not a bad thing. This comes from your Gemini placements. Sagittarius wants to impress people. Gemini wants to fit in and get along with everyone, be liked. And then Mars in Aquarius wants to Mars in Aquarius is interesting because Mars is what you fight for, and it's how you fight. And Aquarius sort of represents the group, and so Mars typically fights for individual needs and self-expression. But in Aquarius, it's more fighting toward what the group wants. So if you any groups that you subscribe to, like like a neighborhood or a I don't know club organization, or maybe your job or a friend group, you would very much want to fight for the ideals of the group rather than your own interests, your own personal self-interest to some extent. So in a way, it's almost kind of a backward Mars sign to have. I don't mean that in a bad way, but the things you fight for are ideals, or it can be difficult sometimes because you might feel detached. You might not feel. Especially at a young age, it might be hard to defend yourself because your Mars is technically not in detriment or debilitated, but Aquarius is kind of an odd sign for it. So, again, that's something that you can that work on later in life, being able to handle confrontation with stride. You do handle attention very well, though. And then Mars is conjunct your midheaven, pretty much. So So that could almost be part of your reputation or your career. Someone who fights for ideas or the groups or society. It's a little abstract and it's holistic, but what you fight for is kind of abstract, holistic. It's you fight for the group, if that makes sense. With Jupiter in 11th house Aries, this would definitely be good for your self-esteem. I think you'd be very confident in yourself. Um, Maybe overly confident at times. And just generally speaking, with all these Sagittarius placements and with Gemini to some extent as well, you would be. I already said you were idealistic a little bit, but you get your hopes up. Like you get so excited. You can become very excitable, and so you can become so excited for things that you think they're going to be better than they are, and then once they happen, you become very disappointed, and you can almost have these like mini depressions. and you have this like kind of roller coaster mentality of, high expectations and then disappointment, letdown, brief depression, and then you're back on your feet pretty quick, and ready to adventure again, or to learn again, or be playful and energetic again. And so this can be very unstable, especially early on in life. And this applies to yourself as well. So Jupiter in Aries, you might have very high expectations for yourself, or feel overly confident and then be let down, or disappointed in yourself, just to get back on your feet again, and then have that energy back in yourself again. So yeah, it can be unstable. It's something that you'll grow into over time and learn to stabilize, and it will happen naturally, I would say. But with Jupiter in 11th house, 11th house Aries, that is really strong. It's really prominent. I think you come off very well with people. Your confidence is good. It's accepted. People accept it. They relate to it. It makes you relatable. I think you'd be a very friendly person. I think you would be um, generally pretty accepted by other people. What else? I'm just kind of making sure I have everything here. Okay, I rambled a lot, and I feel like I just started talking about your chart, but I pretty much covered most of everything. Saturn is retrograde in the 12th house, so this points to your father being more absent in your life. Um, and it points to your struggles, you'd have struggles starting to rain, so my apologies in advance. But um, there was just this glare from the sun earlier, and then now it's raining. It's typical Florida. But okay, so with Saturn retrograde in the 12th house in Taurus, you would have, so that points to your father being absent for a portion of your childhood, but it also points toward you'd have major challenges regarding your finances, making money, having stable income, but also in feeling secure. And like, because Taurus represents not only money, but also just everything that supports us. Money, resources, relationships to some extent, your home to some extent, anything that immediately supports your kind of basic needs, like food, shelter, clothing, etc. So you would have almost a crisis in these kind of areas. You wouldn't feel supported, you wouldn't feel secure, especially at the early part of your life, and you would have a crisis regarding money, stable income, what supports you. You'd have a crisis in that area around the age of 21, 22. So maybe kind of right now, yeah, right about now, you might have a crisis in that area for a couple years, and you would especially have a really big crisis age 27, 20, 29, mostly 28, 29, 30 with your Saturn return. And that's part of your evolution. It's something that you can become a master at, a guru at, once you overcome these initial challenges in these areas. So once you learn to be more responsible, which I think you're going through right now, and you will also go through in your late 20s, you'll become much, much better at making money, and you could actually become very good at it, after these challenges. So, with Saturn, it's something that is initially challenging and initially kind of foreign to you. You might not naturally be good at this type of thing, but once you kind of just have some experience and go through these challenges, you're extra good at it later once you come out the other side. So that's kind of the silver lining there. So yeah, you can become very much supported, and very much good at building things that can support yourself, and being autonomous, being stable, and supporting yourself, I guess you could say. Taurus is a very autonomous sign, and so you might have a hard time being more autonomous at a young age, but it would be something that you would grow into. And yeah, you're very independent and free loving. It's raining harder now, and I've pretty much covered everything in your chart. So, just to kind of summarize, I would say you're a very fun person. Um, you're you're fun. You're intelligent. You're curious. You love a good adventure. It's probably your favorite thing. I'm getting chills right now saying that. And yeah, it's a beautiful chart. I love it. I say that on everybody's charts, but it's true. I really like it. So hopefully that made sense to you. Let me know what made sense or what didn't. You can email me at manic.mercurian@gmail.com. But at any rate, thanks for the request, and thanks for watching.